Welcome everybody who's standing outside to come on in. My name's Gamiel Gran. I'm with Mayfield, and we're going to have a conversation. Yesterday we had an opportunity to talk with a number of operators, CIOs. Today we're going to talk to some really thoughtful CISOs, those who are the operators who run cybersecurity in large organizations, and really what the new implications are. I'm killing a bit of time here as people come into the room, but welcome everybody. Why don't we kick it off? Again, Gamiel Gran here, Mayfield, venture capital firm out of California. Spent a lot of time with global operators as a way really to help us as an investor learn. These smart men here are going to educate us on what the cybersecurity issues are in an AI-first world. Let me start by having each of them introduce themselves. And as you introduce yourself, talk about sort of the surprising new issue that is sort of surfacing when it comes to AI in your organization. It's been a couple years, of course, new initiatives. We talk about hundreds of use cases. We talk about business units really creating new opportunities, shadow IT, all kinds of things. But without me overpopulating, why don't you bring the first your introduction to yourself and then the kind of surprising things you're seeing.
Sure. Thanks, Gamiel, for inviting me here. And hello, everybody. Name is Sule. I'm the CISO and VP of Compliance for Rhapsody. Rhapsody's headquarters here in Boston. We provide interoperability software for healthcare companies, healthcare providers, whether they're hospitals and other health IT companies as well. So basically, the goal is to enable the customers to unlock innovation by having data when they need it, the right data from different systems, as well as the quality of the data. So from an AI perspective, our company actually has a objective or a key result for this whole year is to have a high-performing AI-enabled workforce. So that has come down from the top. So that has kind of set the tone that every person in the company needs to be AI-savvy, be using AI within their work and personally as well, but and then showing some kind of result in terms of ideas that they have implemented from an AI perspective. So I think the challenge there is we're going to have a lot of ideas. And the question is, how do you take that idea from the idea stage to production and make sure that the product we are able to ship a product out based on that. So I think that's what I think is our challenge.
All right. We'll unpack the getting into production in a moment. So Dmitry.
Thanks, and thanks for having us here. Dmitriy Sokolovskiy, SVP Cyber Resilience at SEMrush, a marketing technology company. The thing that surprised me, maybe it shouldn't have, but it did, was how unprepared and at the same eager business is at taking this technology and shoving it everywhere they can, and how misunderstood the technology is by the business, and yet still how strongly they feel about shoving it everywhere. I agree with the need, but it was surprising to see that no holds bar, we're just going to push it everywhere we can.
So the eagerness continues 2 years in.
This reminds me of the dot-com age. We must be behind. Let's all be up in front. Where? We don't know exactly where, but we're going. That's how it feels.
Richard.
Hi, Richard Barrett, Senior Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer for Progress Software. Some of you might know our products, Chef, Sitefinity, MoveIt, and ShareFile. From a challenge in security, it's interesting. So there's two sides I see. There's the side on the business. So we have a mandate to incorporate AI into our products to innovate because we're a software company. And then also look at how AI can be leveraged for operational efficiency and workforce productivity. So that's the business side. On the security side, there's two sides to that coin. There's the defender side, right? The attackers don't have any rules. When they use AI, they can use it whatever way they want, and they will attack you, and they have. And then there's the offensive side is how do you make sure that your products or your services are we'll call it resilient to those types of attacks. And it just, for me, I agree with Dmitry. It's internet all over again, but this time I think we're a little bit more educated, right? Because we know that we have to put guardrails in place, governance, and then also it's just a brand new attack surface that is moving fast.
So I'd love to dive into that, and under the premise that you all are responsible, ultimately accountable for cyber risk in the organization, new themes here with AI, new use cases, new opportunities, to Dmitry's point, lots of enthusiasm. Have you created a steering committee of sorts? And Samir, you talked about sort of the AI skill set. How do you, one, build a steering committee that's thoughtful, and two, how do you educate them on the breadth of new risks here?
Yeah, we do have a steering committee, and I think stepping back is, I really think that this is a great time for CISOs to be the leaders in the implementation of AI, or at least have an influence on how it's implemented within your company. So from a steering committee perspective, we have created one. I am on it, but I've also involved a cross-functional team. So we have our chief product officer and the chief architect is on it. Our CTO is on it. We have our global solutions consulting team, the leader of that team on it, because he's customer-facing. He's seeing all the questions that customers have, and therefore bringing that back to us. And then we have a director from our engineering side. So, and the goal is to also expand the committee as we need bring in more people. So the goal there is to we meet once a month, and we have drafted a policy that we have implemented for a couple of years now. But what we do at the committee is projects that are ongoing, any issues that have come up, we address those. We look at also so supply chain risk. What tools and technologies is our team using. Just have an inventory of that as well. And part of it is also to encourage the adoption, so give recommendations. So if we have different tools that may be doing the same thing, we want to understand, what are the teams hearing about, or which one is better, so we can kind of make that recommendation as well. So it's both from a governance perspective as well as encouraging the adoption of AI within the company.
I'd love to understand operationally how sort of the steering committee makes decisions and whether you have an ability to stop something based upon cyber risks. Dmitry, any thoughts there?
My issue is a little bit different. We have needs for AI transformation within the business itself, the product, the business, the operational improvements, and just general technology. The steering committee for us is a way to make sure that we mitigate the biggest risk. And we see the biggest risk in not doing things quickly enough, fast enough, not adopting or transforming quickly enough. And from that perspective, we see our job as not stopping things, but actually allowing things. So we're trying to allow things easier, better, faster, smoother, cheaper. Now, in those conversations, it's going to be, have you considered this? Has this been touched? Has this been considered? These are the things we're already doing.
So sort of a coach, in a sense.
Exactly. We actually, someone told us that the word governance is used as a cudgel in our company, so we renamed it. We're not AI governance, we're AI stewardship. So
love it.
Exactly, we're guiding them towards
Catchphrase to keep, right?
AI stewardship, but it also changes for us what we are trying to do in this space. Instead of trying to stop them from doing things, we're trying to help them do what they're trying to do faster, smoother. Now, the reality is that it does increase our risk overall technologically, but it significantly mitigates the business risk, which is, in my mind, trumps the technological risk, whatever technological risk that could be introduced. And so we use the committee not to stop, but to steward in the right direction, whatever conversation comes up, whatever the problem or risk we might see.
Great. Richard?
Yeah, we have, we call it an AI coalition, cross-functional team. Has representations from legal, security, technology, IT, who else? Procurement. And we all understand the risks, but we also understand that we don't want to create too much red tape. because it's all about time to market, right? And we want to be fast and nimble. We want to be able to provide the ability for, especially our engineers, a sandbox so that they can break things, blow up things. So I agree. Governance does have a connotation to it.
Yeah.
I call it guardrails. So we have guardrails, a framework to keep our employees and our development safe.
So guardrails, stewardship, all sounds very supportive, but the reality is there's still a lot of risks happening. And I mentioned earlier this concept of shadow IT, shadow AI. Thematically, we're hearing this. How do you help coach, steward, et cetera, when new opportunities arise, you're seeing these things. How do you go into a practical sort of use case, maybe, in how you actually supported and coached an organization?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's more of an honor system, to be honest about it. And you don't want to be draconian and just be very strict. You want people to experiment. That's the whole point of this, right? We're all learning AI and anything that provides within that capability now because it's moving so fast. I mean, LLMs are changing daily. New technology, new agents are coming out daily, hourly. And so you have to be courageous and brave enough to actually take that risk. But that's also where you have to work with the business to understand how much risk are you willing to take and how much investment are they willing to take and lose during this journey. So, yeah, I would just say, just closing our thought is, it's an honor system and be like a steward along that journey.
For us, the most important thing is, and this is what I tell my team, is we're using AI to teach us how to use AI so we can teach others how to use AI better. And that means being elbows deep in AI technology. Every one of my teams and most of the people in the teams are playing with AI, and it's almost directive. You have to. Why? Because everyone else is, and if we don't touch it ourselves, we will not be able to guide them. Now, as soon as we do, our minds are geared differently than majority of a technological world. We see the bad things first. So that allows us to say, hey, and we do this in monthly or biweekly tech demos internally in the company. Hey, this is what we've done, and this is what we found. By the way, don't do this, because this is what happens, and this is what happens. But we don't mandate. It's not a policy, must not be done. We say, this is what we found, and we don't recommend you do this. By the way, these are the tools that have been checked, verified, approved, and these are some of the results that you can rely on. From one of the talks yesterday on employee education, employee training, it's one of the most important things that we now help with, education on AI, how to use AI safely. But we don't say that out loud, but that's what happens during these conversations.
That's great.
Yeah, I think for me it is, and I think it's not just with AI, just with any in a CISO role, is to be looked upon as an enabler, right? You don't want to be looked upon as a person who says no. Yeah. And the reason for that is also because you want to be brought in early on when projects are launched, and that will help you keep track of the projects, right? And in terms of people coming to you and telling us about their projects, we can then identify potential issues or recommend guardrails or mitigate the risks that we see, which they may not be looking at. So I think that is the primary goal, is to be the collaborator that people come to you as a strategic partner. They bring their ideas, and then we can then guide them and steer them in the right direction from a technology security perspective as well as a compliance perspective. But you need to be looked upon as an enabler. If the team looks at you and says, okay, if I go to this person, he's going to be saying no. That means they will not come to you. They will do it anyway on the side, and you will have no idea of what has happened. So I think that's key in making sure that you have visibility into what is going on.
And just to add to this, for those of you in the room that are not in cybersecurity or cyber resilience, if you're working with us in your organizations, or if you're not working with us, you should be. And when you are working with us, I think bringing up and having this conversation, reminding us what we are there for, and it's not for security, it's for you to do whatever it is that you're trying to do, And in that context, how can we work together with you? Oftentimes, we need to be reminded of what business is about. And it takes two to tango. So for us to be able to steward and guide, it does take some level of recognition from you, from the practitioners in technology, that you understand it as well and are willing to work together to tango.
So you all sound like the nicest CISOs in the bunch, right? Making friends everywhere. Can you, each of you share perhaps AI use case and how you've been involved, and perhaps in a learning mode here, what was distinct about, let's say, this use case, this project, from your perspective? What did you have to do differently beyond the enabling?
So I can give two examples. One is my team developing some AI-related product, and the other is helping the company develop a product, involved in that process as well. So the first one I can give example, which most of the CISOs are aware of, is the answering security questionnaires for customers. We get a ton of those, and that's a low-hanging fruit. Sales cycles are usually dependent on that. So unless we finish the questionnaire, the sales guys are not going to move forward. So that's where their pain point is, that, hey, guys, you need to answer these things fast. So one of the things was using AI to automate that process so that security questions can be answered faster. So that helps the business directly in terms of revenue generation by lowering, lowering the sales cycle time. And also, we feel good that we have turned around something and given it back to the customer. The other one was also building a trust center, which again makes it easier for customers, prospects, anybody who wants to understand your products and your services. From a security perspective, you have a trust center. Now, I encourage my team to do that using vibe coding. So that was their entry into AI from that perspective. From the company perspective, we recently launched a product which basically is, I can call it a chat application, but it uses AI to help our customers build interfaces much easier or get the information that they're looking for. That process, from my role as a CISO and our team, was involved in ensuring that we have the proper guardrails in place. So if we took that, if you can look at it from the development perspective all the way to releasing of that product. So that's where we ensured that the fundamentals of development and going from development to production were followed. So that's the role that we directly played in helping and guiding a product.
Great, thank you.
Samir hit it on. The tying directly to revenue is usually the winner for us.
Yes,
so
always.
The very first one, right, speeding up the sales cycle.
The top line. Right.
Exactly. But the immediate result is that the technological stack that we needed to work through and understand to make that happen allowed us to then help an internal team build something pretty similar for internal use, not aimed at contracts, aimed at something else, building a RAG structure that was used elsewhere. So my team did it for a very specific use case that was immediately beneficial to the business and gained necessary experience to then be able to expand it internally. And because we know now we kind of combine our paranoia and our technical chops in this case, we can now be beneficial immediately, right at the very beginning. We always want to be there early, and here we get to be at the early stage. So that was sort of one use case that allowed us to expand.
Can you share what that use case was?
The internal, actually, I think someone was talking about this yesterday. It's a universal assistant for the company. We're talking almost like an executive assistant at the level of the company. So this thing summarizes context from the data, from all of the various data sets, and then makes it available in a way that makes it easier for the employees to find whatever they want to find. Nice. But a pretty similar use case technologically, but very different data sets. And from that, the second use case is now being built. We're talking actually about we're working through creation of an executive assistant for the whole department, for the cyber resilience department, which will keep our context, all of our work, sort of my brain electronically downloaded, allowing the team to plan and strategize more efficiently, not forget things. And guess what? Now that's becoming, the IT department says, whoa, What is it you're doing? Wow, we don't have to remember all those things anymore, and we can talk to it. We can talk to our plans. Amazing.
Do you like your virtual buddy there?
It's
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute.
So similar to the security questionnaire, our teams constantly get asked about policies and procedures. So we created a co-pilot or an assistant to help answer policy questions. We trained it with all our policies and procedures, not just cyber, but also legal and all the department policies, so that it just reduces all that churn of questions coming our way. So that's worked out really well. And then from a product perspective, we're like these gentlemen have both said, we're enabling. We want these products to go out as fast as possible, but we want to do it safely, right? Safely, right? So, but you don't want, because you don't want to be that headline in the news. That's like our worst case scenario. But we want to do our due diligence to make sure that these products are built safely and they operate safely.
So what are the gaps that you don't have answers to yet? I mean, this we all keep talking about in this event. Things are moving so fast, et cetera. New use cases, lots of enthusiasm. What are the gaps as far as technology that you wish you had?
So the technology, I think, is developing for this. It's understanding what data is actually going in the LLMs, what's being added to the prompts, and then where is that data going? Is it going to a third party, a fourth party, or is it just disappearing? There's technology there that's out there now that's trying to answer that, and it's still, in its infancy stage, but it's developing. So for me, I think that's the area that's probably one of the hardest challenges to solve, because now your data's it's everywhere. It's integrated, because you want to get. I mean, this is where the value of AI is. You get to look at data at scale that we've never seen before. And that's really, it's really productive, but it's also very dangerous. So that's why you have to have these the guardrails, make sure that you have good, and I think people don't realize this, you have to have a really good data governance program in order to enable AI in your organization. So I'm sure a lot of practitioners have started to look at what's my access controls, what are my data controls, where is that data coming from, where is it leaving? Having that foundation will allow you to just move very fast with AI.
It's not a new problem. It's the oldest problem in the world. What is business doing? Does business even know what it's doing? Can it tell what it's doing? Can it tell what it planned to do? And is the technical reality matching what the plan was? And now we actually have the technology to help us aggregate that enough. We have enough of technology stack to be able to process vast amounts of data, actually understand what data do we have, where do we have it, who does it belong to, what's happening to it at scale, and at speeds be able to adjust the picture. So we are now getting to the point where we can now solve the problems we could never solve before, and verifiably confirm for the business that what it planned to do is actually technologically happening by looking at data moving around. And so I say it's not a new challenge, but it's the new solution to, so I'm very excited and very, very bullish on this whole thing for us and for the business.
Yeah, for us, it's, since we are in a heavily regulated healthcare industry, data is again the key element there. And in order for you to take advantage of AI, it all depends on the quality of the data you have. So and once the data leaves, you have no idea where it's going. If you do not know where it's going to be really tough. So the data problem is critical, that the quality of the data and understanding where the data resides at any time is also important. The other thing that I see, and just looking forward, is the issues that we're going to have with agentic AI or agents. And going forward, those are the gaps that we will need to fill in a relatively short amount of time, where agents are now going to be given access to different systems, and that problem is already manifesting itself. And so that's a gap that we will need to address pretty quickly in terms of governance around the agents as we give them access to our systems.
So I think we've got a minute or so for any questions from the floor. And if anybody does have, please raise your hand. But as we wait for that, would you all make a prediction as to what the cyber role looks like, the SOC, the operations, you mentioned sort of a digital twin, so to speak, Dimi. I mean, what do you think it's going to look like 3, 4, 5 years from now? What is your role going to be?
Hopefully, we all lose our jobs. And I say this because on daily basis, what we do is work ourselves out of a job, cleaning up what business didn't think of and making it run properly. Eventually, if we are really good at our jobs, will mean that we will no longer be needed. With AI, that is probably going to speed up or has the capability to speed up, which might mean that we're all gone, but I think because, again, technology is going to keep moving forward. This frees us up. This gives us an opportunity to get ahead of technology once again. So I think I cannot tell you what technological challenges we'll be facing, but I know that technology that's sitting here now is going to allow us to free up cycles to look at that when it comes. So that's sort of the positive/negative, if I can combine it.
All right.
I have no clue. I can look in my crystal ball. All I know is it's just, I've never seen technology move so fast. I mean, now we're moving to this next phase of AI where it's multi-agent, agents acting autonomously, taking action, making decisions. And how do you get visibility into that? And how do you get a guardrails or safety into that?
I personally think your jobs are more important and are bigger, more automated, but more important. Samir, final words, please.
Yeah, I think we are in a phase of really big transformation that's happening, and it's going to affect our roles, how we operate the security operations center. There's a lot of automation that will come in. A lot of work that our security analysts do will be taken over by agents. And then it's going to be from a leadership perspective, I look at it and say, okay, what kind of talent do I need on the team, right, going forward? That's another aspect. What kind of individuals do I need? Because if the standard SOC jobs are gone, then I would be looking at people who have that intrinsic AI, knowledge, or you can use AI and bring new ideas to the table. So I think a lot of it is going to change both from the automation of the processes, but also from the way your teams get structured and the kind of talent you are going to be on your team going forward.
Awesome. Well, help me thank this amazing panel. We have a question. Awesome. Thank you.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So Robert Monaco, I'm a North American practice lead for AI for Polera. I'm seeing a shift in governance conversations, and I wanted to get your opinion on the nature of governance has typically been in IT organizations a bit of a look back, right? You fill out the documents, you file them, and you're good to go. But now we're dealing in a world where there's bias drift, these models change, the data changes. Are you seeing a change in governance, or is that keeping up in terms of how these applications are dynamically behaving or are gonna behave?
So from my perspective, I'm seeing more participation in governance than I have before. I haven't seen in the past. It's not to say they didn't care, but because they know that the technology is moving so fast that they have to keep a pulse on the technology, because if they don't, it'll just pass right by them.
I think that they're hopelessly behind, not for the lack of trying. They're trying, and oftentimes, like with the EU AI Act, causing tremendous damage to the evolution and growth and trend, all this value that is potentially there. But at the same time, they're not as draconian as they used to be. So I think partially because of the work we're doing, trying to kind of marry the two with the business value being the priority factor. And I think it's changing for the better, although, again, I think it's still behind.
Yeah, in my case, I would say it's a mix of both. Like, the management in our company is aware. The governance is now, taking a front seat. But I think it's incumbent on us also to make them aware of the new risks that are there, so that they understand where the risks are. And then once they understand that, then the governance follows after that. So I think part of our role is being an educator, and influencing that behavior that you think is necessary in order to protect the company from risks.
And if we forget, you should remind us that that's our job.
We have one more question.
Great. Yep. Wonderful.
I'm going to mention the B word, blockchain. So you don't have to, you can all roll your eyes and you can move on. Or we can talk about the value of a data trust layer and its alternatives, and decentralization from peer-to-peer mechanisms to get ourselves out of that validation and have it be, quote unquote, true. Lastly, to tie it to this conference, is, in your opinion, blockchain one of the ways to make all this wonderful AI slop to science more reliable?
I'm curious. Thoughts? Anybody experimenting with blockchain as an answer?
It's based on intent. What is the business intent? And if the particular intent business is trying to achieve for that intent, blockchain is a viable tool, and that will be a technological conversation, then by all means, there's massive value in proper utilization of blockchain, specifically for what you're talking about. In my personal experience, it's pretty narrow to fields where we know almost everything, or know enough to be able to put some rigid structure in place like that. So it is a very individual response, I think. It has a place, but I wouldn't say it's the panacea or anything.
They say the same thing about AI.
Yeah, so for me, in my organization, we have not talked about blockchain. So it's strictly just AI.
All right. Any final questions? I think we're out of time. So again, help me thank this amazing panel. Samir, Dmitry, Richard, appreciate you being here. Love the insights. Data governance, put yourself out of a job, but I think the job gets bigger, honestly. So thank you all.